No, that's not quite right. That shouldn't be the conclusion that you came to. I mean, not after all that stuff you did. Maybe this end is enough to satisfy you, but it's not really how it's supposed to happen. So that brings us to a question. Do you want to see how this is really supposed to end? I thought so. But in order to see how this really should have finished, we're going to have to go back. Let's rewind a little bit, shall we? It's been a few days since then. I've felt a lot closer to Reggie ever since our day at the aquarium. Although he's been so busy with work, I haven't gotten to see much of him since. But I don't feel lonely. He sends me texts all the time, so even when I'm alone, I don't quite feel alone. It's nice to be alone, but not lonely. Besides, I had a nice day by myself, actually. Sometimes it's nice to just return to the cemetery for a normal day after so much chaos. I made sure I put at least one flower on every grave today, but soon my head started to hurt again. And I felt very dizzy. I took a small rest sitting down by myself. I told myself that I wouldn't let myself black out again, that I'd just sit for a few minutes, and then get back up and head home if I was feeling really bad. But that's not what happened, though. I truthfully didn't mean to fall asleep. I didn't. But when I sat back against the mausoleum we have, after being outside and on my feet all day, and having one of those familiar headaches, well, I was just so tired, I didn't even realize I fell asleep. Until I woke up to the sound of rain. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I am AmalgamAsh, and this is the true ending of Cemetery Mary. We have to follow a very, very specific set of exacting instructions to reach this conclusion. For this, I skipped through Reginald's route and worked to get his good ending along with the true ending. This video, this episode, picks up right after the end of Reginald's good route. So I'm not sure how many elements from his route it will borrow, or if there is sort of a proprietary true ending that changes depending on which character route you go through. I imagine I'll find that out now as we play, but for anybody who hasn't experienced Reginald's route, you should go do that. And this is going to culminate in all of the rest of the spoilers to this game, to this lovely, beautiful story. In Reginald's route, Mary didn't receive the power to contact the dead, but she did feel overcome with headaches often while visiting cemeteries, churches, and various places because of things that were going on in those places that have not been explained. But instead of talking about that, we're just going to go right into playing the game, reading the story. So, this may very well be the last episode of Cemetery Mary, but here we go. I was surprised to not have had any strange dreams this time, but this was a big problem. Only the roof trim of the mausoleum was keeping me safe from the rain, and it was pouring. And worse even still, it was night. The only light I could see was from the street lamps at the outside of the cemetery. Oh dear, how could I have slept so long? Well, I couldn't stay hiding under here all night. I took a big breath and ran across the cemetery to the street. Luckily, the gate wasn't locked. Again, I was surprised, but thankful, as it meant I would not have to find some other way out. Once I was out on the sidewalk, I noticed the street lights were the only lights on. Everything else seemed closed. How late was it? I didn't want to pull my phone out in the rain to check, but... Ah, wait! The bus! There's the bus! I sprinted to the bus and tried to get the driver to notice me. Even though I was wearing all black, the driver seemed to see me. All right, we have a variation in the story. She usually makes it to the movie theater. But this is different. This has never happened. Thank goodness. I apologized a gazillion times as I boarded onto the bus for having to make them stop for me, but I was so very, very grateful they did. I have no idea how I would have gotten home had I missed the last bus. Thankfully, the rain didn't last too much longer, or perhaps we just drove out of it. Either way, it was plenty dry when I got off the bus and onto that old dirt path. It was just a bit dark, that's all. Luckily, my phone still had enough battery to use its flashlight and help light my way. Even though I'm sure I could walk this path in my sleep by now. The house was dark as I approached it. Had I not lived here for weeks, I'd even say it looked scary. Like a haunted, abandoned cabin in the middle of the woods. It was dark, so either Croven wasn't home, or already asleep. I tried to be quiet as I entered the front door, just in case he really was sleeping. As soon as I entered, I felt a wave of tiredness crash over me. I need to sit down. Am I really so tired? And after I just slept so long, what's got me feeling like this? Maybe I should go to bed, but I have to get out of this chair first. I just need to muster the energy first. Am I still sleeping? It feels like I'm being pulled. I'm... Croven, you scared me. Sorry about that. Could you go back to sleep for me? Huh? Why? It'll just, be easier for me if you are. Croven? What are you talking about? Croven sighed and stood up properly. Follow me, please. Croven walked towards the front door. I could see a faint light on outside. I followed him. When I exited out the front door, I could see Croven out in a clearing near the house. There was a large vehicle there that was clearly still running. Croven? What's this? Mary, I need you to get in the car. Where are we going? It doesn't really matter. That's not the important part. We just need to leave, okay? We're coming back, right? No. I don't understand. What is this? Did something bad happen? Listen, I'll try to explain it all later, but for now, I just need you to trust me and come with me. I trust you. Thank you. I will explain it eventually. Croven walked me over to the back of the truck and opened it for me. He helped me inside, but frantically, as if to rush me. As I began to buckle in, I noticed that Croven and I weren't the only ones in this vehicle. There was a man sitting in the driver's seat. It was so dark I couldn't see his face, but Croven seemed familiar enough with him as he climbed into the passenger seat, and we began to drive. I wanted to ask Croven what was happening, but not in front of the stranger. Who is this? Do I even try to ask? Well, it certainly took you long enough. I'm sorry. Yeah, I should fucking hope so. We wouldn't even be having to do this bullcrap if you weren't such an idiot. I'm sorry. I will try and do better next time. Next time? What, you want there to be a next time to all this? I am sorry. That was a poor choice of words. Whatever. I don't want to get mad in front of Mary. It's just... It is alright. As long as we continue like this, things should be just fine. What are things exactly? You know, I hope you're right about that. Because if I have to worry over this a second longer, it's gonna be your head. I am aware. But have I failed you before? Where are we going, if I can ask? Yeah, I'd say you have. I think that's a bit of an exaggeration. We've gotten this far, haven't we? It isn't far enough. You think my dad would settle for this shit? In all fairness, your father was a lot more patient. Yeah, well, I'm not. Ugh. This is giving me a headache. Likewise. It's fine. It's fine. Maybe when we get there I can, sit down with some coffee or something. That sounds like a good idea. I just hope it actually calms you and doesn't make you more jittery. Yeah, shut it. Ugh, we're never gonna make it there at this rate, though. How do you mean? You kidding me? You drive like a fucking snail. You want to go any faster, maybe? It's safer to drive like this. It's dark and we've hardly traveled this path before. Come on, it's a straight fucking line. What, are you worried about crashing into all these other cars around us right now? I gave my reasoning. We will get there regardless. Yeah, but it'll already be sunrise when we do. Fuck. Give me that. Croven suddenly grasped the steering wheel, much to the shock and worry of both me and the driver. What the hell are you doing? Let me drive. Stop the car and let me drive if you're not going to listen. Let go of the wheel. This was gonna happen. I knew it. I told. You shouldn't done it this way. What do you expect to do then? I'm after them. With what? I don't care. You. Where they're headed, right? Not letting get away. What did Mary? She was breathing. Nothing broken, right? So you take care of her. Ain't she used to that job by now? I'm not sticking around. Then, God damn it. Mary, can you hear me? Come on, let's get you home safe. I'm in pain, but not a lot. Just very numb. Like being hit with a big wave on the beach. Slowly, I could feel my senses coming back to me. I'm pressed against something. I'm being held. But by who? Open your eyes. Oh, hey. You're awake. Ah! Huh? Who are you? Whoa, easy now. The man let me stand on my own 2 feet, and I quickly backed away from him. Who? Where? Mary, calm down. It's me, remember? From the car with Croven? I was driving. Is that supposed to be enough reasoning? Ah, that's... I recognize your voice. That makes me feel a lot better. But, may I ask what happened to Croven? Well, it's gonna be a long story. Walk with me. So, first, how much do you remember? Oh, we were driving somewhere. You guys were talking weird. Ah, right. You're viewing it from an outside perspective, so it wouldn't make much sense to you. Then Croven got really mad and wanted to drive the car himself, and we hit something, or swerved. It's a bit foggy. You're walking fine. You're not in any pain, are you? I think I'm okay. I just feel a little numb. You were in the back of the car, which wasn't really damaged. I think you may have hit your head, though. I guess that's why I was blacked out. Even though it wasn't too much damage, the car is no longer in any shape to drive us anywhere. And we can't exactly turn back now, so our only choice is to keep walking until we can get to the next town. I wasn't sure when you were going to wake up, but you were out for a while, so I admit I was getting a bit worried. But I did wake up for a little bit, when Croven and you were yelling at each other. I heard Croven say some things, letting someone get away. Is he okay? What happened to him? Well... I suppose there's no use in hiding it now. I mean, how much do you know about it? Know about what? I don't know anything about any of this. Croven just woke me up and told me we had to go. I see. I guess I'll be the one to explain it then. As best as I can, anyways. If you don't know anything about it, I guess I'll start from the beginning. Or at least my understanding of it. So, you know Howland City, right? Yes? It's where my aunt and uncle lived for most of my life, and where my parents lived before they had me. That's right. Well, how do I say this? Picture this with me, if you will. Mob, gang, criminal organization, use whichever words please you. There were 2 of them, centered in Howland City. The first we'll refer to as the Congress, and the second we'll refer to as the Parliament. Howland City housed these 2 organizations, but it hardly had room for both. The 2 groups were always at war with one another, fighting over territory, money, whatever they could, even if just to make it so that The other group could not have it. I tell you this because your uncle, he was the head of the Congress. You're joking. You can't be serious. Uncle Cross was such a sweet man. He wouldn't hurt a fly. Haven't you ever questioned why he wore that eye patch? It was from his time in the army. He was in a war. Oh, I see. Please continue. Eventually, the Congress had overpowered the Parliament, and the Parliament was pushed to Blackwood. The Congress now had full control of Halland City and weren't worried about the Parliament interfering with their plans anymore. I wish I could say that's where the story ended, but if it was, we wouldn't be here right now. Your mother, Mary. My mom? What about her? Your mother was a good friend of Cross. Long-time friends. I believe they'd known each other from back when your mother was still a child. Yes, I knew that. That's why I started calling him my uncle to begin with, because he was such a good friend of Mom's. Was Mom involved? Please tell me. Yes, she knew. And your father knew too. But they were never involved in any of it. Until recently. Huh? Let me finish explaining. After the Congress had complete control of Halland City, your uncle, aunt, and parents lived there peacefully. More or less. For a while. But your mother had wanted to open her own restaurant, diner, eating establishment, and the perfect location she was looking for was in Blackwood. Your uncle and aunt begged her not to make the move. They were scared of the Parliament potentially targeting her, even if she was never involved in their business. But if she wanted that restaurant, it was her only option. Not to mention, she was expecting a child. And, well, believe it or not, back in the day, Blackwood used to be a lot cleaner than Halland City was, even with the Parliament there. Tables certainly turn, don't they? So despite their warnings, your parents moved to Blackwood to start their restaurant. And, well, their family. Your aunt and uncle were still worried, but you guys actually seemed to stay pretty safe, and we didn't really have any reason to worry. They even felt comfortable visiting you guys from time to time. They'd even joke about how the Parliament may not even exist anymore. But they'd show us that they were still alive and kicking soon enough. A few years ago is when things really began to spark again. We'd received reports of gang activity beginning to pick up in Blackwood. That alone may not have concerned us much, but then we started getting reports of enemy gang members parading themselves around Halland City, calling themselves the Parliament. That really made our sirens go off. Then out of almost nowhere, your aunt and uncle's home was broken into. They were unsure if it was related, but, well, it's not like they were going to take their chances. They shortly ended up moving into a safe house of theirs, you could call it. Even though it was closer to Blackwood than it was Halland City, it seemed like the safest bet. Wait, the cabin. The cabin in the woods. The one you picked me up from. That's right. I had always wondered why they moved there. They always had such a nice house in Halland City. I never understood why they'd moved to such cramped little space in the woods. They lived there quietly for a few years, but, well, you know that. Yeah. I was happy Croven was so much closer than before, but I didn't know this was why. Things only started to go really wrong quite recently. Your aunt and uncle, they came in contact with the head of the Parliament. This head figure had promised to meet them to discuss a sort of treaty or truce, some deal or arrangement. Told them that they'd meet somewhere public, so there was no worry of anything insidious. And after a while, they finally agreed to meet them. But, well, you know that went south. And that, more or less, covers most of it. I see. Are you alright? It's just a lot to take in. I can imagine. If there's anything you need elaborated, I will try to explain it to the best of my ability. Thank you. Well, I guess I do have one question. Yes? Who are you? Oh. I apologize. I didn't realize I've never introduced myself. I'm Ovidius. I was the first lieutenant, you could say. The right-hand man to your uncle. Or, well, the right-hand man to Croven now. Croven's involved with all this, too, right? Unfortunately, yes. He's always known. We just didn't expect him to inherit the Congress like this. At least, not yet. And Croven, he ran off. Yes. He believed we were being followed by the Parliament, claimed a car that quickly drove past us after the crash must have belonged to them. And he ran after it. I don't know what he thinks that will help, but I couldn't go after him. My priority was watching out for you. Have you been in contact with him at all? No. As I said, my priority was taking care of you. Maybe I should try messaging him. After everything you just told me, I don't feel comfortable knowing he's on his own out there. Oh, you should give me your number too, then. In case you wind up separated somehow. Unnecessary. Huh? You already have it. I already have it. Wait a minute. Then that means... Smack. That is such a platinum realization. That's gold. That's better than gold. That is so great. You were the strange number that I've been texting. The one I message nearly every night. Yes, that's correct. Why didn't you tell me that from the beginning? More so, why were you so creepy over the phone? You scared the living daylights out of me. I apologize. I didn't mean to. Truly, I tried as best as I could to not come off malicious. But I see it didn't work. I am just not good when it comes to cellular communication. Perhaps I should explain a bit more of why I'm even here. You see, back when gang activity first began to pick up again in Blackwood, your uncle assigned me the task of looking out for you. I was to make sure that you were kept safe from all this. Of course, I accepted this task. I made sure you were never involved in any of this, until now, that is. Wait. Were you stalking me? No, not exactly. I wasn't so much spying on you as I was spying on them. Huh? The Parliament. I was making sure they stayed out of areas that you frequented. It was a difficult job making sure they kept their distance, whilst also making sure I didn't bring any suspicion on you. But I think I did an alright job, at least while I was able to. Wait. If you're with Croven, and you're also the mysterious number, that means you know where my parents are, and that they're okay. That's right. Let me continue explaining. You see, keeping you safe within the city wasn't my only mission. I was also tasked with bringing you out of the city should things go awry. And well, that happened. And I was instructed that if something like that should happen, I was to take you and your family out of Blackwood and bring you somewhere safer. However, what nobody told me was, you were staying with Croven. I came to pick you up and your parents, but you were not there. I never got news that there was a rumor of a murderer in Blackwood, so I had no reason to believe you might be staying somewhere else. Your parents only told me once I had arrived there. But by that point, I was already in a very dangerous position. The Parliament was clearly on high guard. If I moved around too much, I risked jeopardizing everything. There wasn't enough time and too much risk involved in going to get you, so I left with your parents. And I couldn't come back until we could be absolutely sure it was safe to take you away too. But if Croven really did see a Parliament car pass us by, then perhaps it still wasn't safe enough. Then where are they now? Why didn't I ever hear from them? We didn't want the Parliament potentially catching on to us. And we were afraid they may be able to track your parents' phones. So I confiscated them. My phone has been modified to be untraceable, and was why I was able to keep contact with you. But the same couldn't be done for your parents. I apologize for that. But believe me when I say that it was very hard for them not to contact you. It was the only way to ensure you were kept the safest you could be kept. I see. Are you alright? I dunno. Again, it's a lot to take in. I understand. It must be tiring to even hear about, but I hope you find happiness in knowing you'll see your parents again soon. Really? Yes, it's why I came to collect you after all. It's why we're heading out this way. But perhaps we would be a lot closer to them had the car not crashed. Ah, right. Even if Croven doesn't appear a bit frantic right now, I request that you not be mad at him. He wasn't even supposed to be with us, truthfully. But he wanted to come, to see for himself that you got there safely, and I'm sure he still wants to see that too, even if he's not beside us right now. Really. Most of the walk after was silent and awkward. How was I supposed to talk in this situation? Processing it was a huge thing to take on already. I had tried messaging Croven, but we didn't hear anything back. I didn't really expect to, but it was worth a shot. I did wonder where he ended up, though. I haven't seen a trace of him in this forest trail since all the time we've been walking. All the time we've been walking. Are you alright? Huh? You're slowing down. Oh, sorry. I'm very tired. How long have we been walking for? I can't say for certain. I didn't check the time when we started walking. Would you like me to carry you again? No, that's okay. You really don't have to. I just hope we can get there soon. It's still plenty dark out. Indeed it is. But I would not be surprised if the sun starts to rise soon. Really? I was hoping we'd be there by daybreak. Maybe if we still had the car. Wait. He stopped me. Do you hear that? I did. We turned behind us. There was a car slowly driving in our direction. It was still a bit away from us, but would catch us soon. I'm going to wave them down, see if they can give us a ride. Stay behind me. I took a step back, and I noticed Ovidius reaching into the side of his jacket. He was carrying a weapon on him. I silently prayed to myself he wouldn't have to use it. The car slowly rolled to a halt beside us, and the window rolled down. I felt a bit more relaxed when I saw the driver behind the wheel. He was an elderly fellow with plenty of wrinkles. He looked so old, in fact, I didn't know if he should even be driving. On his head, he wore a mesh cap. It had a picture of a trout on it, and from the little I could see of his outfit, it looked as if he was wearing some kind of old overalls. Even though I felt more at ease, Ovidius did not shift from his tense and serious state at all. He bowed over to the side of the vehicle and talked to the driver through the window. I couldn't really hear what they were saying, but after a few moments, I heard the old man laugh, and Ovidius turned to me and told me it was all right to get in the car. So I climbed into the back seat and buckled myself in, and then we were off. Thank you again, sir. Ain't no problem. Was heading that ways anyways. Frankly, I'm just surprised you guys are walking. I ain't never seen nobody on this old path. Perhaps it ain't as well kept a secret as I thought. Well, we didn't really have much choice. Our car kind of crashed. So it was you bozos who had the car right back there. Was wondering where the passengers went. Yes, that's correct. We swerved, trying to avoid a deer. That's why you gotta keep your eyes and ears peeled in these woods. Though I suppose it's a bit too late to tell you that. Anyways, what business do y'all have in Greenbark? Greenbark? Ovidius shot me a look. Oh, right. We're, Any special occasion? No, just visiting. It's always nice to see a family getting together. Most people take that for granted nowadays, I tell you what. So you two family too? Well, not exactly. I'm just a close friend, doing a favor. Oh, I see. Hope they're paying you enough to be a chauffeur. After crashing a car? I doubt I deserve much pay. But enough about us. What are you doing passing through Greenbark for? Well, I was hoping you'd ask. See, me and Ma fishing buddies do this trip every other weekend, even though I don't live too close. But this shortcut helps me to make it every time. I'm usually the last to arrive, but not by much. We rent out a boat, and... The nice man continued to tell us about his fishing trips all the way to Greenbark. It sounded like he was really excited to be able to talk about it. I liked hearing about the fun times he shares with his friends. The sun began to rise right as we began pulling out of the forest, and once we were in Greenbark, Ovidius told the man to let us off at the corner of a sidewalk. I never did learn his name, but I made sure to thank him again for the lift. Lucky break for us, but let's not push it. Come on, let's go. Ovidius, Can we get breakfast first? Mary, we need to keep going. I'm sorry, I'm really not feeling well. Are you alright? Yeah, it's a lot, you know, and I think it's all catching up to me. All the walking we've been doing, we really shouldn't stop moving. You're right. I understand. Come on. Huh? We'll get you something to eat. We'll just have to be quick. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Let's go. Ovidius tried to look for somewhere that may be open. The closest we could find was one of those chain diners that prides itself on pancakes and other breakfast foods. They seemed to be the only place open anyhow. Luckily, they weren't packed at all, so we were seated right away. I was happy about that. And please be quick. The girl's practically dying over here. Ovidius shrugged his coat off and then tossed it into the open seat behind him before taking his seat across from me. You didn't have to do that. Rush the waitstaff. It's not that dire. You're feeling unwell. I'm sure they can see that. You also shouldn't toss your coat like that. It's expensive, isn't it? It'll wrinkle easily like that. Well, if it'll wrinkle so easily, maybe it shouldn't cost so much. You think that? Yeah, I do. Why is expensive stuff the type that ruins so easily? You should get what you pay for. Wouldn't you agree with that? Yeah, I guess I would. You alright? Can I ask you about, can you tell me about the fire department? Huh? Ovidius quickly scanned the dining room and everyone in it. I work for the fire department, and you're curious about that, right? Oh, yeah. Can you tell me about, the fire department? To an extent. What do you want to know? There's some good questions here. How long have you been a fireman? I don't think I could say for certain. It's almost hard to remember a time where I wasn't in this line of work. Is that sad? If I had to guess, I would say it's been at least around 10 years. Really? That's a long time? Yeah. It is a long time. When I think back to when I first received that text message from such a mysterious number, of all the potential candidates it could have been, I never would have imagined it would have led to something like this happening. Are you upset? No. I'm glad it was actually an ally. After all, how could I be upset with someone who's done so much for me? Someone who's even risked their life for me and yet doesn't know me at all. I wouldn't say I don't know you. Not anymore. We messaged one another almost every night, didn't we? Even though it might not have been much, I feel like I learned a lot about you. Besides, even though you didn't know me in return, you were always coming back to me, or looking to me when you were in trouble. I know that you're a bright girl even if you don't think so, and bright enough to ask for help when you need it. That's something that can't be said about a lot of people. Maybe if I had been more like you, I wouldn't be in this position I am now. Oh, but no, don't take that the wrong way. I'm here anyways, and if I gotta be here anyways, then I'm glad it's with someone like you. Thank you. If I may, can I ask one more thing? Of course. It's about my uncle and the fire department. Yes, go ahead. My uncle and the fire department. You knew my uncle. You said you worked right beside him, right? Yes, I did. My uncle, was he a good person? He was silent for a moment. Listen, Mary, your uncle. I owe my life to your uncle, and I'm sure many others do too. But just because I am loyal to him, doesn't mean that he was exactly a good person either. Your uncle did a lot for me and for the rest of the fire department, but there is no such thing as a good firefighter. I guess I didn't realize how that sounded out loud. Thank you, Ovidius, for everything you've been doing for us. I don't know if Croven ever tells you, but really, thank you so much. Of course. There's no one else I'd rather do it for. I felt much better after I was fed, physically better, but I think the emotional toll was also a bit easier to digest. Come on, let's head out. Once we get past this point, we should be in the clear. Since we no longer had our own vehicle, Ovidius and I had to find a bus stop. We'd have to take bus after bus until we could make a path to wherever it was we were supposed to be going. That's okay, though. I was used to riding on a bus. You look tired. Nah. Don't worry about me. I'm fine. Are you sure? Yes. Are you really sure? Yes. We'll be on this bus for a while. You can take a nap if you'd like. That doesn't seem safe. What if we run into trouble? Then I'll wake you up. Promise? Promise. Then take this. I thought you might like it. Couldn't find a good time to give it to you. But it might help you pass the time. For me? Thank you. I checked my messages with Croven. Still nothing. I could only hope that the reason he wasn't answering was because he was being extra careful, and not because something else was going down. I started reading the book I was given. When I saw the title, How to Talk to Ghosts, I figured it was, well, figurative. I thought it would be some spooky story with a clever title, but to my surprise, it is written as more of an instructional guide. It's a very interesting read, and I'm curious as to how they got all this information anyways. As previously mentioned, ghosts exist on a different plane of existence. That much is obvious. Yet, they can communicate with us, despite their beings existing on a separate layer from ours. We see time and time again their attempts to reach us. Perhaps it is because they are angry. Perhaps it is because they are lonely. Does each ghost exist on their own, or do spirits share a realm with one another, expanding and everlasting? Is there a heaven? Is there a hell? Or is there only purgatory stretching for miles beyond what we can comprehend? These are questions I cannot yet answer, for if I could, I wouldn't be here writing this right now, would I? But there is a question I have been able to answer. Since ghosts can make contact with us, I often wondered, could we contact them? Sure, you've heard of psychics and mediums and whatnot, but that is only half of what I am talking about. Being born with the innate ability is a factor, of course, but I wanted to delve deeper than that. Despite where they may exist, they can clearly affect things in our realm. They can reach us, and like one-way glass, I know they can see us. But what if we could see them? Is it not enough to hear them? It is not enough to hear them. I wanted to see them, to travel to where they were. I believe that when you die, perhaps your soul can become unrestricted. But what if we could accomplish the opposite? What if a living being had the ability to unrestrict itself before death? Perhaps this sounds like crazy talk, but you will find... Oh! We've got to get off the bus now. I don't think it'll be much longer. Is this it? Yes, this is it. He had brought me to a white-paneled house in the middle of a cutesy suburban neighborhood, in a city much, much farther from Blackwood than I would have liked to think. Are we supposed to stay here forever? No, not forever. Just for a while, until we can get things under control. Aren't you happy? Your parents are safe, and you'll get to be with them again. I know, but I like Blackwood. And Croven. Don't worry about Croven. Don't worry about Blackwood. Both of those, they're my job. And I've never been bad at my job before. I'm going to take care of it. I'm sure you'll be back in Blackwood before you know it. I approached the front door of the house. My parents, who had been missing for so long, they're really right behind this door? Ovidius stood back on the sidewalk. I don't know if it was because he didn't want to feel like he was pushing himself into the picture, or because he wanted to be able to leave as soon as he saw that I was safe. Everything that's happened. Does it really end here? There's only one thing left to do. I lifted my hand to the door and knocked. Once, twice, 3 times. The knob slowly turned, but when it opened... Well, hello, miss. What brings you knocking on our door, Lost your way? Oh, don't be silly. You were here looking for Mommy and Daddy, isn't that right? So sorry. They stepped out for a moment, but we're more than happy to babysit you until they get back. Mary! I was grabbed by the strangers, and they began to cover my mouth with a cloth. It smelled of something I couldn't quite recognize, but I already knew what was happening. I tried calling out to Ovidius, but my mouth was covered. You don't mind if we take her out for a little play date, right? Let her go! Yeah, I don't think so, and I wouldn't even try reaching for that gun of yours. Unless you're in the mood for a Bloody Mary. Mary, listen to me. It's going to be okay. My vision was beginning to fade. I'm not going to let them hurt you. I promise you that. I'm good at what I do. Huh? Where is this place? What's happening? I could hear a sound. Someone's voice. Hey, hey, hey. Have you been having fun? No, it's more like multiple voices, speaking together. I think this has been a blast, though I don't think he would say the same, but it doesn't matter what he thinks. Well, maybe a little bit. What are they talking about? I don't understand. You're getting tired of this though, right? I guess it's over soon anyways. What do you think will happen? These voices. I can hear them pumping through my head like blood. The more they talk, the stronger it feels. I know I'm excited. It's getting painful. Although I do have to wonder, what do you think will happen to him? Will you miss him when he's gone? Please stop talking. Or will you even remember him? It feels like my head is going to explode. Will you? Doesn't matter? I can't take it, please. Just... I guess it doesn't. None of this matters. Stop! Huh? What? Just a dream. Wait, where is this? I was kidnapped. But this place... Is this a jail cell? A real jail cell? I quickly looked around the place. It seems to have been abandoned for quite some time, but they brought me here. Ovidius! I have to get to him. I checked my pockets. Of course they took my phone, why wouldn't they? Okay. Stay calm. We can find a way out of here.